Have you ever wondered how you build something as massive as a bridge in the middle of the open ocean? I'm not talking about some small coastal project. We're talking about structures so huge they have to fight off storms, massive waves, and the incredible pressure of the deep. It is, without a doubt, one of the greatest challenges in all of modern engineering. Okay, get this number in your head, 318 meters. That is taller than the Eiffel Tower. Now imagine building two of them, not on solid ground, but anchoring them to the seabed in a strait known for its wild storms and powerful winds. This, right here, is the unbelievable scale we're dealing with in mega offshore construction.
So what is mega offshore construction really? Well, you can think of it as the art and science of putting up colossal structures in some of the most unforgiving places on Earth. It's a constant battle against the elements, and it's a battle you can only win with the absolute best technology and some seriously precise planning. Now, you'd think the first step is to just start building, right? Wrong. The most critical make or break work happens way before a single piece of steel even gets moved. The real victory is decided long before construction even begins, back in the planning and investigation phase. Essentially, engineers have to become detectives of the deep. First, they run marine surveys to create detailed maps of the seabed and figure out what the soil is actually like down there. Then, hydrodynamic studies analyze literally everything the ocean could throw at this bridge. We're talking waves, tides, currents, even the risk of earthquakes. It's only after they understand all those forces that they can finally start preparing the site itself. All right, with the site prepped, it's time to go below the surface, because a bridge that's going to reach for the sky has to be anchored to the very bottom of the sea first. This is where the unseen, but maybe the most important part of the job begins, building the foundation. And the star of the show here is something called a caisson. The simplest way to think of it is like a giant, hollow steel can reinforced with tons of concrete. It's not just a part of the foundation. For all intents and purposes, it is the foundation. It's like creating your own little man-made island of pure stability right on the seafloor. And how deep are we talking? Well, these foundations can sit up to 45 meters below sea level. That's like a 15-story building completely underwater, in the dark, with unimaginable water pressure trying to crush it from every direction. It is a truly extreme place to work. So how in the world do you install one of these monsters? The whole process is just a logistical masterpiece. You see, they build it on land first, then they tow this giant structure out to sea and use pinpoint GPS to get it in the exact right spot. After that, they flood it in a perfectly controlled way to sink it onto the target. It digs into the seabed, and then they fill it with concrete to make it an absolutely immovable anchor. So, with those foundations locked in place, the focus shifts from the deep sea to the open sky. The journey now goes up, assembling these titans one massive piece at a time. Let's just talk about weight for a second. A single block for one of these towers can weigh 800 tons. To give you some perspective, that's the same weight as 4 Boeing 747 jumbo jets, 4 of them. And the towers are built from dozens and dozens of these things. And the assembly process? It's like a finely choreographed dance for giants. Each one of those 800-ton segments is built on land, floated out on a barge, and then hoisted into the air by these massive offshore cranes. Once it's in place, it gets bolted, welded, and they use lasers to make sure the alignment is absolutely perfect. And this is the part that is it's mind-bending. You have cranes lifting the weight of 4 jumbo jets in the open sea, often with wind blowing, and they are placing them with millimeter-level accuracy. That is the ultimate combination of raw power and delicate precision. The towers are up, so now it's time to connect them and build the actual road, the bridge deck. And again, the way they do it isn't what you might think. It's all driven by this incredibly powerful engineering logic. Just like the tower blocks, entire sections of the bridge deck are built completely on land. Then they're floated out to the site on barges, lifted way up into the air, and just slotted perfectly into place. It's like a giant scale assembly line.
Which, brings up a pretty good question. Why go through all the trouble of building these huge pieces on land just to drag them out to sea and put them together? Why not just build the whole thing right there on site?
Well, the answer comes down to one word: control. Building on land means you're not at the mercy of unpredictable wind and waves. It lets you have way higher quality control, almost like you're in a factory. And maybe the biggest reason of all, it makes the whole construction schedule so much faster. It is simply safer, better, and quicker. And that leads us to the single idea that underpins every single decision on a project like this: safety. And we're not just talking about following a rulebook, we're talking about using data constantly to manage and reduce risk in an environment that is, by its very nature, hostile. The monitoring is nonstop. The team gets live, real-time data on wind, waves, and currents so they know if it's safe to make a lift. Every critical weld is checked with something called non-destructive testing. Think of it like an X-ray for steel. And the bridge itself is filled with sensors that monitor its health for its entire life. So, if you had to boil this whole incredibly complex process down to just one sentence, this is it. Engineers build most components on land, float them to sea, and then assemble everything using massive cranes. It's a simple idea, really, just executed on a scale that is absolutely epic. It's really a testament to human ingenuity, isn't it? That relentless drive we have to connect our world. And it leaves you with one final thought. With engineering this powerful, this precise, this extreme, what seemingly impossible connections are we going to build next?